For whatever reason, whenever our induction got scheduled, I ended up on the side of a TikTok that was like horrible induction stories. So I figured I would put my positive induction story out here so that hopefully you see it and not all of the horrible traumatic ones. So I had to have a medically induced induction. They were worried about IUGR or growth restriction because at my last couple of appointments, my belly started measuring smaller instead of larger. And when they did a scan, they couldn't see a lot of amniotic fluid around baby. And so we scheduled an induction. I got to the hospital at 7:30 in the morning. They were going to start a Foley balloon to start opening up my cervix, but I was already 3.5 centimeters dilated by the time I got there, so they didn't need to do the balloon, and instead they just started me on Pitocin. When I tell you the worst part of my induction experience was getting the IV placed, I mean that. It was the worst part. It hurt. They blew 2 veins. Finally, they got the critical care nurse in there to put one in, and she got it on the first try. And that was the most pain I had my whole labor. I labored on Pitocin for about 3 hours, all the way up until like a level 10 of Pitocin. I don't really know what that means. All I know is it started at 1 and then it eventually got to 10. I honestly wasn't feeling much pain. I had like pressure and cramps that were coming and going, but they weren't painful at this point. And so at about the 3-hour mark, I decided to go ahead and ask for the epidural before things got painful, because I didn't want to do that. But in the meantime, while I was laboring, I was bouncing on the ball, I was doing hip circles, I was dancing around the room to my labor playlist and just trying to do whatever I could to get my cervix dilated. They came in around 1 and placed my epidural, and after that I was not feeling anything really until they broke my water, and then I did start feeling contractions. The anesthesiologist came in and bumped up my epidural a little bit because I was feeling my contractions. And after that, I didn't feel anymore. However, my blood pressure tanked at this point, and they had to come back and readjust my epidural. And the second time they readjusted, it was perfect and I was good to go. I will say I threw up when my blood pressure dropped, but that was the very last time I have thrown up while pregnant. They readjusted the epidural at about 4 p.m. and then when they came to check me at 6 p.m., I was 9 centimeters dilated. And then by the time 6:30 rolled around, I was ready to push, and I pushed out my baby in 4 pushes, and he is here and he is wonderful, and it was a beautiful birth experience from top to